Morning all, Nimby here. This morning we're going to be tying a Brat's Brat. Let me fight with my thread here for a second. There we go. Having trouble getting it in the little slot. Alright, so we're just switching from our 8/0 black uni to some white classic waxed. It's a 6 or 8. 8/0 classic waxed Simplify. The original pattern calls for white thread for this fly. Other than the light colored body materials and that, I don't really see a major reason why you need to use white for it, but it's in the recipe, so we're going to use white today. But it would help for things to not bleed through. Okay, we're just using white for all the body materials, and we'll switch to black for the head. But yeah, like I was saying, the only real reason I could see for this would be to give it a nice clean base for all the colors to land on, so the black isn't bleeding through and making it more gray. We have white thread, so let's get her done. Okay. Our tail for this material is going to be a mix of white and orange bucktail. So we have a wonderful bright orange bucktail we're going to be using. Oh, it's got one of those bottom openings. A lot of companies are switching to these, well, in my opinion, cheaper bags without the Ziploc. Not my fave. I like a good, durable Ziploc. But in either case, there we go. Nice, bright orange. So we're going to actually prepare our wing first with the white and the orange. And then we're going to steal a bit of the wing for the tail, because the tail's made of the same material. So we may as well get our wings stacked up at the same time. There's our regular bucktail. We're going to be using the white like we've been doing for the last couple off the side. Hey, wee man, good morning to you, mate. Doing up a Brat's Brat this morning. Oh, I really like the colors on this fly. But yeah, we're going to be using white and orange bucktail. First, we have to tie in a tip. The tip is just gold. I got a bunch of gold leftover tinsel here, so we're just going to be stealing one of those if I can find one. There we are. It calls for medium. This is a large tinsel. If you want to be super accurate, and feel free to grab some medium. Now this is tied almost specifically on a size 4, but you can go up to an 0.2 for this guy. Oh, let's redo that. I'm just going to put a little bit of a crimp on this tying end here so it's not as slippy. And just using some hemostats. How's your morning going, wee man? What I'm gonna do here too is I'm gonna add just a little whiff of head cement on there. Not only is it gonna help to bind the bucktail in if it's still tacky at that point, but it'll stop the tip from sliding. We'll see if it'll soak in by that point. Probably will, because we're gonna stack our not just our tail. Oh right, I forgot. Yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes my brain doesn't adjust to everyone's. Hey, both across the pond. Afternoon to the two of you. Good to have you in, Maddie. Always good to have you in, wee man. So we're just gonna be wrapping down. This little bit of head cement will kind of squish forward. I am tying this on a gold hook, so you know this probably isn't as necessary, but it's part of the pattern, so we're gonna go with it. Would look better on a. Yeah, you've been a beast at that plowing. Looks like you got like almost like a little small Massey Ferguson little tractor deal. That thing's cool. I know it's not a Massey. I could see the brand on the side. I can't recall off the top of my head what it was, but I enjoy it either way. Yeah, he's a lucky boy. Maybe one day I'll come across one, but they definitely seem to be more common used on your guys' side of the dirt. There, we just got a gold tip tied in. I apologize if my exposure's a bit off. I gotta adjust that later. Not gonna bother with it today though. This is a pretty bright fly, so yeah, let me try and turn my filming lights down a hair. That might help. Yeah, Maddie's got some good stuff there. I feel pretty blessed to have this Dyna King. But yeah, for more than a decade, I just tie it on a cheap Indian clone. And it worked well. I wore out like 4 or 5 different sets of jaws on it, so there's that. But I mean, it's not like it's hard to replace a set of jaws. Okay, so we're gonna tie in. Where did I set it down? Now I had a little piece of. There we go. We're gonna tie in just a bit of. We're just gonna tie in a bit of gold oval tinsel here, and I'm just tying it in at the back here. And I just want to get this in before I do the tail. Not that it's necessary or anything, but since it's a buck tail, I'm going to be tying in pretty hard and then wrapping the other ones in. I just want to have this in with some options for me. Okay, let's get to the tail. Well, tail and wing. We're going to do the wing first and just steal a little bit of fibers from that for the tail because it's the same thing. So it's a little bit of white bucktail and a little bit of orange bucktail. And all the pictures I've seen with these tied and the ones I tie them pretty sparse on the wing. It was just like an attractor pattern, so you're basically just trying to represent a cast-off shuck of the wing casing. It's a total attractor fly, though. This isn't representing any specific aquatic insect or anything. Works really good for larger brook trout and stuff, though. They love orange and go nuts over that color. Alright, so I'm just got a little bit clipped off here. Oop, and apparently I brought some tinsel with me. Hold tight. Let's put you back. You're not part of this fly. Well, you could be. Instead of the original pattern, the original pattern calls for... Come on, buddy. Just behave yourself for a second while I get you cleaned up. The original pattern does call for just regular gold flat mylar tinsel. I've been enjoying watching Maddie doing the snow plowing. That's always something I thought I would have fun doing. Although I gotta say, the amount of snow you guys get is minuscule compared to up here. Actually, what I could have done with that, thinking about this now, is I just pulled out a bunch of short fibers. I could have totally set those. I could have totally set those little ones that I pulled out aside and just used those for the tail. Hindsight. Hindsight. We got our American anthem going for our American friends. Whoop. Wow, that jumped right out of there, didn't it? Come on, Nimby, settle down. Just making a fly here. I don't need to like super stack this. I just wanna get it roughly stacked. Really seems to be bouncing all over the place. So. I'm gonna try it on my desk here. Just give me a minute. Nice. Yeah, we get pretty crazy snow up here. I mean, we haven't this year, but I got pictures of me next to the house with like 7 feet of snow in one snowfall, where the snow is like up over the east troughs. You gotta dig your doorway out. Doesn't happen as much anymore, but there we go. We'll save that for the. Gonna save that for the tail. Beauty. Okay, that worked out pretty well. Still got some loose stuff in there. I think I pulled out more for the tail than I did for my wing. Try that again. There you go. Okay, so 1 second. I'm gonna go back here. I might have to actually fix this. I kind of did the opposite of what I was trying to do and pulled the longer stuff out. So give me a second. I'm gonna kind of separate this again. I messed that up. I apologize. We'll get it sorted. I'm just gonna have to do it twice. There's no point in having the short fibers in there for the wing because they're just gonna fall out. So I'm gonna separate those for the tail. Like I said, should have done that at the start when I was thinking. I'll try and remember to do that for the orange. There we go. Okay, those gonna be long enough? Yeah, that'll work. Alright, I think we got enough for the wing now. I had my tail like stacked bigger than my wing was gonna be. That's not gonna work. Yeah, I'm just gonna rough stack this again. I'll set this off to the side for later. Probably should have pre-stacked this for the stream so I didn't have to waste all this time, but that's okay. Everyone likes watching deer hair get stacked anyway, right? Okay. Boop. There we go. Now we got a nice white shuck that's gonna be long enough. We got a small shuck for the tail. Just gonna bound those together. Try my best not to knock it off my desk. That's all our short fibers or shorter fibers. So we're gonna restack those because I mucked them up. See how much shorter they are. And those are gonna become our tail. The original pattern says to separate or to mix these. A lot of times when I tie these, I like to tie the white on the bottom and the orange on the top for the tail to match the wing. I'm still kind of humming and hawing about that. Okay, I got one or two broken fibers in here I gotta pull out. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. And this, again, this is a tractor pattern. We're not representing anything. So we want to have the tail of the gap height right here. Yeah, it's oddly satisfying watching Maddie go and remove snow. I don't know why. It just is. Actually, I'm gonna go just a little bit more than gap height. Just because my tip's so far back. Yeah, there we go. About a gap and a quarter. And I think I'm gonna do that for this one. I'm gonna just tie the white in, and then we'll tie in the. Come on, catch that thread. There we go. So first soft wrap, just keep it on top. We'll tie the orange on top of this. £500 what for a law vise? That probably sounds about right for a going rate for one, I would think. Not making any more of them, there's only so many. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm just gonna bring it back here. Oh, okay. A good trash can is actually handy. I mean, you can make a trash can out of anything. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, my trash can I just made out of an old fabric bag for a pair of snow goggles. But yeah, good trash bags are a good thing to have. Yeah, I know. That was gonna be my second comment. Is if you see it for 500, you might want to pick it up because you can probably sell it for twice that. Okay, so I'm gonna pull off. That's kind of a greasy one, isn't it? Didn't really clean this one too well. That's okay. Just wondering if I should go with a bit more fluff on the bottom. Or get something more middle here. Let's go kind of mid. Let's go mid bottom. Split it. This is a new to me. Well, it's new. It just came out of the package. I haven't tied with this specific tail yet. I think he loves it. This is a really, you can see how, see how greasy this, I don't know if that's from the dyeing process or if they just didn't clean this bucktail very well. I'd imagine it wouldn't dye at all if they left it this greasy. So how's a hackle bucktail? Normally they're pretty good. I mean, the coloration's nice, but it's really quite greasy. Huh. And weirdly long. Like, look at that. Yeah, mostly. I'm not sure what to do with that. Okay, let's, how can we recover from this? Let's cut it here. I'm gonna split that out. We'll add that to the side here, not stack that yet. Let's just get the tail done. I'm gonna try and pull enough fibers out of the base here. That's a... I'm not sure if I can wash... I'm gonna have to take this bucktail and wash it with some Dawn dish soap or something. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting some fibers. I just need enough for the tail. I can worry about cutting another piece out for the top. I think I'm gonna have to. I don't even know if this is gonna stack. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna try and separate it a bit. That's kind of disappointing. I was really excited to tie with that bucktail. I mean, not that it's a bad bucktail, it's just it's greasy as all get out. It's like McDonald's French fries. Oh. Yeah, that's not stacking whatsoever. That is so dirty. Wow. Sorry guys, I probably should have checked that before I started. I'm gonna have to do a technique called hand stacking, so we'll go over that. I'm gonna use my old school stacker. Where did you go, buddy? Did he? I didn't know that. Did he buy it, or did he have a hand in making it? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing is pulling it out, trying to keep the tips as close as I can together. Then it's gonna be off camera, but I'm gonna be laying them in my manual hair stacker and just trying to get the tips as close as I can here. Not gonna be perfect, but it'll be better than what we got. Again, just pulling them out. Oh, that's sticky. Yeah, I'm assuming you probably can't tell on the camera here, but this is extremely sticky. Like they're covered in honey. Not ideal. Really? Wow, I missed that. He does a lot of really good giveaways, so I missed his last one for this last month giveaway here. Okay, so now what I'm doing that I got most of it in there somewhat straight, I'm just gonna kind of pack it closer up to the front with my finger. And the fibers will hit the end and kind of stop. And this doesn't give you like a perfect packing. Yeah, Davey's awesome. I love watching his stuff. He's just such a good, awesome human being. Ow. Yeah, if I would have known I was going to be fighting with this much, I would have washed it ahead of time or something. But there we go. See if I can get that on the camera without it sliding out. That's about as stacked as it's going to stack, so we're going to go with that. Apologize again, guys. This is not what I had in mind. That doesn't take away from the pattern that we're doing. It's just not ideal, but we don't always run into ideal situations, right? Some bucktails are greasy. This just happens to be a dirty boy. Yeah, we want to put it right on top there. I'm going to put it just a little bit longer, just because this is a little thinner than I'd like it to be. And on the soft wrap, just keep her on top there. Come on, you white stuff, stay where you're. And I'm just kind of trusting my placement as we go back. It looks like it's okay. Now I kind of see why they call for the white thread, because these lighter colors would bleed through fairly bad. Only good thing about the kind of greasy bucktails, it's gonna tie in rather nice and not be as slippy. Alright, there we go. We got our tail tied in. I'm gonna move this up. Now this body's tied in two pieces, so like a 1/3 and a 2/3. So I'm actually just gonna tie this up to the kind of 1/3 mark. It probably is. I've just never. That's what I was saying. Like if it was grease, because you know some bucktails when you're harvesting can get quite greasy, especially when they're in the middle of a rut, and that's perfectly normal. That's not something I'm upset about. But that has to be washed off for the dye to affect the fur, right? Because the dye will, you know, just it'll be like tie dyeing, like if you don't get rid of it. So yeah, you're right. It's probably some kind of detergent, but like, it's really, really on there. It's really thick, surprisingly thick. I know it's hard for me to show that on camera, but if it is detergent, that's excellent because I can just rinse it off in the sink. You know, add a little bit of Dawn soap to it just to cut anything that is there. It won't hurt the bucktail at all. It's just a bit annoying you can buy a more premium product, and like I said, it's a beautiful color, and I was really excited to tie with this bucktail. But again, we were talking about that before. You buy a premium product, and it ends up being not as primo. Excuse me. Okay, so we're gonna cut that out. Boop. It's a wonderful color though. That's gonna make some really cool salmon flies and steelhead flies, and just little accent pieces and things like that. It was a good price too. I think I only paid $11 for it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, hair dryer after makes a big difference that way. Okay, so we got two body materials to tie in. For the yellow, I don't really have the shade of yellow I want in a wool punch card, so we're using a poly yarn. And this, I just want this nice bright, not quite sunflower yellow, but it's a fairly common yellow. But it's just a poly yarn. It's a 4-strand poly, so I split it down to 2 strands. That's why it's a little bit on the poofy side. 4 is going to be too much for me. 1's going to be too thin. So I stripped it down to 2 strands. It calls for wool as the original pattern. And the next part of the body is going to be an orange, which is actually in wool. That's an orange punch card. I think it was number 78 on the punch card colors for embroidery wool. But in either case, we're going to tie this one in. It's going to go up to 1/3 of the body, which is going to be right about there. So we don't need a whole lot. And I'm just going to hand wrap this because we're not going super far with it. Yeah, okay, that white thread is making a little more sense now. If I used black there, I would be definitely bleeding through when it got wet. Which is taken into account for some patterns, to be honest. There we go. Now we're going to tie in the orange, and we're going to ribbit after the orange. So for the orange, come here, buddy. Was it 78? 73, my bad. Orange, 73. 78 is probably still orange, but that's color reason. Kind of a nice pumpkin orange. Do, 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 do. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down. And since this has an overwing, I'm going to make the thorax area just a little thicker by going back and over again like I do. If you're dubbing this, which you could totally dub the body if you wanted to, then you're welcome to just dub it a little thicker here or whatever you need to do. In this case, I'm going to go back just about halfway into that orange and back again. That'll just thicken that up a bit. That'll help us get a nice wing stand up there. Give us a little bit of taper to the body. There. So I got the right amount of yellow or orange wool on that one too. That's nice. Didn't really waste any material there. A little bit, but I mean, it's not bad. Okay, so we got our gold oval tinsel here now. So I'm just going to hand wrap this, and we're just going to be going across the body. Just going to go for nice even wraps. I can manage. Looking pretty good so far. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's the body. It's a beautiful little like sunshine happy pattern, eh? I quite enjoy that. Just gonna give it a little bit of a thread base here to even this all out. So we have a nice landing spot for a wing. I'm not really trying to bury it as much as I'm trying to give it a little more height and a flat landing pad to tie that in on so it doesn't slide forward. So just building this up a little bit there. Okay, and we'll be switching to black. I'll switch to black right now, let me see. Yeah, I think I'll switch to black here. This whole front of the head's gonna be black. I'm just gonna pop that off. We'll do a couple half hitches here. Give it a quick wood finish just for good measure, and then I'll throw a little dab of head cement on there. What a pretty little thing that is, eh? I'm gonna switch out my red thread here for black, so just give me a moment. And where did my black go? There we go. And it's gonna be black 8/0 and uni. Is it 8? 6, sorry, my bad, 6. It's a little bit on the thicker side because we're gonna be binding in bucktail and building up ahead. Probably should have had this prep beforehand. Or in hindsight, I could have put my white thread on the red bobbin. If you're gonna have 3 threads strung up, you may as well have black, white, and red. Just gonna start this down here, and then I'll do an overpass on that white just to cover it up in black. It'll likely get all covered up as we tie in the bucktail, but just in case. Just gonna give it a quick pass here. Not looking for perfection, just covering the color. Just so we don't end up with a shock of white showing through. There we go. Yeah, in hindsight, I mean, I could have probably built that head up with the black. But either way, all good. Alright, there we are. Okay, so first we're gonna do the white bucktail, which we already have nicely stacked. I'm not sure how that yellow orange is gonna really behave for us though, to be honest. It's a shame because this is a beautiful white bucktail. We want to have it just a hair longer than our tail. Couple short fibers there. Yeah, we want it right about there. That looks pretty perfect. Soft pinch wrap, hold it on top there. Oh, it slid forward on me, so I can try and bind it down here. That's okay. That won't hurt anything. I'm going to trim this off before we get the orange in, just because it slid so much. Mainly just trying to bind those ends down so I can get a more secure base for the next wing. Beauty, that's looking good. I'm happy with that. Okay, now you're gonna have to just behave yourself the best you can behave. I don't know how well that's gonna be. I think I'm gonna have to just comb you out after the fact. Yeah, I'm gonna trim this off. They got all sorts of butt lengths going on here, and that's gonna drive us nuts for no reason. So let's just get rid of that. There we go. Well, let's make a happy little fly it somehow. Okay, let's put the higher side up. Got some longer fibers on top, so I'm just gonna stick them on top. There we go. And if it is detergent, I'll be able to just wash the fly after and it'll come off, get all nice and poofy with the hair dryer, like you said. That'll fix that problem. I'm gonna try. I probably should wait till I get this tied in. I should do that. I'll wait till I get it tied in, then I'll buff it up with a brush. Look at that big, thick, chunky bucktail bit that I have to cut off there. Once that's cleaned out, that might actually make pretty good spinning fur, to be honest. Okay, I'm not worried about cleaning up now. I'm just trying to bind it in there, and then I'm gonna brush this with this brush, see if we can make it look a little better. Yeah, actually that's not too bad. That is better than I was expecting. It'll look even better once it dries and gets poofy if it is cleaner. Okay, that's not too bad. That's actually, yeah, that'll work. I'm just gonna bury down a few of these high points. Not too worried about the head yet, because we're gonna come to that in a second here. We still have to tie in the hackle. Thankfully the hackle is fairly simple. It's just a regular light hackle, brown. So I'm just gonna tear these off, get me a little tie-in spot. Some of these wispy guys. Boop. There we go. That's just a regular red rooster. I picked this one just a little bit on the orange side, just to go with the fly theme, but traditional um, traditional recipe just calls for red rooster. So there we have it. Okay, and I'm gonna leave my thread right about here because that'll probably be the tie-off point. We don't need a whole lot, we just need a light color of this. So I'm gonna go with some bigger. Actually, on second thought, I'm gonna go with small hackle plier just so it's not adding a lot of weight to this. I'm gonna be cording this back as well in a bit of a wet style fashion. It's just a real light throat hackle collar here though. Nothing overly crazy. Probably more just to add some movement and water push. Got enough for one more wrap there? Yeah, I'll go one more. Come on, buddy. Just trying to avoid that one chunk of hackle sticking out on my side. That's fine though, we got her. Snip off the waist bit. And just get rid of any misfits. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we'll just clean up our head. I think we got her. Hey, welcome in. Hey, it's Chirpy. And a big bulbous, more like minnow-shaped head than a football, but that's what we're going for here. Get everything on your guys' side. There's one or two spots there. Get it? Yeah. Beauty. Okay. Just trying to get this bucktail to. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm happy with that one. That worked out okay. I'm gonna hit up the one or two little spots that are sticking out on your side that I can't see with the Sharpie. Huh, I can see him on the camera, but I can't see him. That was good. I'm just gonna color him in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. Yeah, I got one hackle fiber that got stray up front here. There we go. Okay, That's a Brad's Brat. It's a really colorful, fun fly, actually. That orange-yellow pattern is a lot like red-orange or red-yellow. It just works with a lot of different fish. I imagine this thing would probably nail crappie and crappie and bass pretty good too. All right, let's get some whip finish on here and get some head cement up. Hopefully everyone's having a good morning. Pop that off of there. There we are. It's a pretty fly though, I'll give her that. Hey. My white's over just a hair on this side, but that's a nice fly. Let's fix you though, you're kind of wonky in the vise there, so you need to go down. I made you worse. Well, that's pretty good. Good enough for a spin. Okay, so we're going to be putting on the head cement. Beautiful colored fly though, I mean. Kind of reminds me of like fresh squeezed orange juice on the summer, you know. It's kind of fun tying these bright colored flies in the winter. Brings back a little bit of that warmth and heat into everything, eh? Especially for Maddie, who's going to be out there cleaning snow. Poor guy. Okay, so I want an ample supply of head cement on there, like so. And that's gonna dull up in a second. So what that's doing is the acetone in the head cement now is eating into the wax on the wax thread. And we'll give it a minute to do that, and then we'll add our lacquer after. So it's not all shiny and pretty right now. That's gonna actually soak into the thread fibers. And by doing so, it's also going to thin out the head cement that we put on. That'll help it soak right in and then give it a nice cure on top. It's one of the downsides of something like a UV resin, because your UV can only penetrate so far, especially when you're using black thread. Excuse me. Especially when you're using black threads, you can only get so much penetration with the UV. But in this case, like if I was to cut this head apart, it would penetrate like 2/3 of the way into the thread, which gives it a much more solid head base. It takes a little more effort and a little more time, but you end up with a very compact, solid head base. It's almost like a piece of plastic when it's done. definitely not going to come apart on you, that's for sure. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to let that set for a second here. Once it starts setting up, I'll do my spin and spiel. Tell you about the fly. Some of these original patterns were actually tied with jungle cock as well. I should add that in there. I don't have enough jungle cock to tie on to things like this. It's really hard to get in Canada. It's not illegal or anything, you just can't import it. So whatever we got, so we got. That worked out real well. Like, look at that. I'm just gonna center that a little better for you guys. There. Hey Valhalla, we just tied up Brad's Brat, so you're gonna get my spin and spiel here just in time for. Good to have you in, mate. I got your address, so I'll get that fly sent off to you. It'll have to be on Monday though, but I'll get it out in the mail on Monday. Okay, that's probably tacky enough to spin it up here. So today in the vise we have Brad's Brat. This is tied on a size 4 golden hook. You can use a size 4 traditional Aberdeen hook or streamer hook if you like. The tail is a orange and white bucktail, same as the wing, which is orange and white. Orange on top of white. It has a golden tip. It's a little bit hard to see there with the golden hook, but it has a golden tip and gold uni-French tinsel wrapped around the body. The body is sectioned off into the first third yellow wool and the second third bright orange wool to match the bucktail. It also has a slight, very light red rooster collar on it and a nice big black bulbous head. This is a wonderful pattern for brook trout. Really gets them moving and stirs up some aggravation in them. It's also a good searching pattern if you're doing larger rivers like the Thompson or Fraser, any sort of bigger water. This thing floats enough to keep it off the bottom on the surface when you're swinging it through pools and that. So it's a great little fly. You should add it up to your box. If you want a slightly bigger fish, this is kind of where you want to start going to. Wonderful pattern. It was originally tied by Enos Barter, hence the Bard's Brat. He's a fairly famous Seattle outdoor writer. Did a lot of outdoor writing, including fly tying, fly fishing, hunting, all that stuff. He was just a good outdoorsman. So that's one of his patterns. He was also famous for creating the... what fly did he create now? Sorry, I forgot that part. Escaped my memory. Phew. So there you go, guys. There's your morning fly. Nice bright citrus streamer for the Brad's Brat this morning. But that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna go make some breakfast for the kidlets and get them down into town. So I just want to thank you all for hanging out with me this morning. It's been a wonderful tie with everyone. You guys all have a great morning. Thanks for hanging out with me. Enjoy your tea, enjoy your coffee. Find something awesome about your day. And Maddie, if you're still hanging around, you be safe in the machines too, eh? Okay, cool, mate. Good luck. I'll probably be driving, so I won't be able to join you, but if I see you, I'll pop in for sure.